So a couple of days ago, I was wrestling with a bout of depression. I could barely crawl out of bed in the morning. I didn't feel like meeting people. I was not motivated. And overall, I just felt lost and confused in terms of my purpose and my direction moving forward. Now, having dealt with episodes like this in the past, what I found is that in learning to deal with them better, a great realization is in the fact that the highs and the lows are a part of life. All right, nobody feels awesome all day every day. All right, even when we look at some of the world's greatest leaders, for example Winston Churchill, who led Great Britain to victory in the Second World War, he actually referred to it as the black dog of depression that used to follow him around, right? Even Dr. Martin Luther King, who basically led a revolution, even he basically dealt with the depression to the point of actually contemplating taking his own life. All right, so once we can begin to understand that the highs and the lows are a part of life and that no one is immune to the lows, and that it helps us develop this sense of common humanity, you can say. All right, and once we develop this sense of common humanity, you can develop that self-compassion, whereby we understand that this is just a part of the human experience, and we go from being a victim of depression to basically going and looking at it through the lens of how we can actually grow and improve from this experience rather than just play the victim to it. All right, so in this video I'm going to discuss 7 strategies that I've used that have helped me deal with my negative emotions and navigate these waters of depression. All right, hopefully if you begin to adopt them into your own life, they will help you do the same. So the first strategy I have for you on how to overcome depression is to develop a growth mindset. All right, now it's a prerequisite to overcoming depression that you have to believe that the future will be better than your present. And that's one of the most dangerous aspects of depression, because we tend to believe that we cannot get better. All right, so Carol Dweck is a researcher and a Stanford professor who has spent decades of her life actually dedicated to figuring out what separates the people that live up to their potential from the people that do not live up to their potential. And what she found was that the major differentiating factor is that of mindset. All right, more specifically, the people that have a fixed mindset do not live up to their potential, and the people with a growth mindset do tend to express more increases in terms of their happiness, fulfillment, and expression as well. All right, so when you have a fixed mindset and you have depression, you tend to believe that you are identified with the depression. All right, you are feeling this way because that is just the way that you are. Your parents, your genetics, all of these external factors are leading you to experience these negative emotions. And if you have a fixed mindset, you do not believe that you can actually do anything to improve it. All right, you just remain stuck with this identity of being a depressed person, and once you believe that you cannot improve, then it'll be very difficult for you to actually take the actions that will lead to improvement. On the flip side, there is the growth mindset. All right, with the growth mindset, you understand that yes, there are certain complications, there are problems in your life. Maybe your parents were genetically predisposed to experience depression, and then in that case you are as well. And maybe your current situation is way worse than the average person's situation. Yes, maybe you understand the reality. All right, you're not ignorant to what reality is, but you are also open to understanding that improvement can exist. All right, you understand that identity is malleable, and once you can begin taking the actions that would lead to a better result, then the result will occur as a side effect. All right, you see the problems in your life not as unsurmountable obstacles, but as avenues that once you solve the particular puzzle of the problem, then it will help you evolve and help you actually become a more grounded and powerful version of yourself. All right, so a prerequisite to overcoming depression is understanding that yes, you can actually do something to overcome it, because once you have the belief, that is what will drive your actions to actually make those beliefs a reality. All right, so the second strategy I have for you on how to overcome depression is that of setting targets. All right, happy people have projects. The ancient Greeks told us that humans are teleological beings. What that means is that we are purpose driven, right? When you don't have a target, you are aimless, and when you are aimless, you are not motivated to get out of bed in the morning, because if you don't have a target, if you don't have an end goal that is motivating for you to actually drive you and get you out of bed, then you will have no reason to get out of bed. And what I've found in my own situation is that my depressive episodes have actually followed after a plateau, right? A plateau in my work, in my health, in my relationships. When my work goals have reached a certain point and they're not really moving the needle, or if my health has reached a certain point and I'm not making gains in the gym, or my relationships are not as deep and fulfilling as I would like, after those situations is when actually these negative emotions follow. And that is a sign, an indication for me to set better targets, to set a target that is going to drive me to get out of bed in the morning. All right, now everyone is starting from a different situation. Everyone is dealing with their own set of circumstances, so you don't have to set the target so high. You just have to set them higher than where you currently are. All right, so even for you, it could simply mean getting out of bed at the same time every single day. Right, even if you start there, then you build upon that one habit at a time, and then over time they just compound on each other, and then you look back, you're like, how the hell did I get here? And it all started with getting out of bed at the right time that you told yourself you were going to. All right, so the third strategy that I have for you on how to overcome depression is to develop self-awareness. All right, and this is basically running an honest audit of your day-to-day. All right, running an honest audit of the behaviors that you are expressing in your day-to-day life, and assessing whether those behaviors are actually moving you towards depression or moving you away from depression. And what I've found is, in my depressive episodes, in the time when I have been feeling the lowest, has been the times when I have been engaging in the habits that are actually taking more energy than they give. All right, for example, you could have a drink and you could escape the negativity of the present moment, and it could be gratifying right now, but in the long term that will catch up with you. All right, so you have to run an honest audit and figure out which habits are helping you, which habits are hindering you, and then work towards actually removing the habits that are moving you away from where you want to be. All right, and that brings us to the fourth strategy on how to overcome depression, and that is to stop watching mainstream news. All right, so you have to understand that the job of news companies online is not to provide you with news. They are a business, and their job is to make money. How do they make money? By basically trying to get your attention. And the thing about the human mind is that we are wired to keep an eye out for the negative. So that's why in news they have a saying that if it bleeds, it leads. So they just flood it full of negativity, and whatever headline gets the most views, the most clicks, that's the one that spreads like wildfire, and that is the one that we end up seeing on television. All right, now an interesting study that they run on this was actually done at the time of the Boston bombings, and what they found was that if you spent more than 6 hours watching TV coverage on the Boston bombings, you had more PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, than someone who was actually at the Boston bombings. All right, that's very astounding, that just watching TV actually caused you to experience more stress than actually being at a particular event of the bombing. All right, so that should be an indication for you to stop watching mainstream news, because it is not empowering. It is only negative stuff that is meant to grab your attention, and that's it, and you're not experiencing positive emotions from it. If any case, you are actually experiencing negative emotions from it. So if it's not doing your life any good to watch mainstream news, you should instead move to more empowering stuff like books and empowering stuff on YouTube. Even filter your Instagram feed to be empowering stuff, because at the end of the day, you are what you consume. Your diet is not just your food, it is also the information that you consume, and make sure that you are consuming information that helps you and helps you realize your true potential, your true positive emotions, rather than hold you back from living the life that you want. All right, and that brings us to the fifth strategy on how to overcome depression, and that is to keep care of your nutrition. All right, so the important point here is that your gut actually produces more serotonin, which is the happiness hormone, than your brain. All right, and your gut health is largely influenced by what you eat. All right, so your gut is actually comprised of a lot of microorganisms, bacteria, virus, fungi, all this type of stuff that determines the health of your gut. All right, now any two humans have 99% of the same DNA, but any two humans have less than 5% of the same bacteria that's living in their gut. And for this reason, there is no such thing as a universally healthy diet, because what is actually healthy for you based on your current composition of your gut will not be healthy for me based on my current composition of my gut. So the best way to figure out what food is healthy for you is to experiment. All right, figure out what foods you eat and that help you experience energy, what foods you eat that help you, that actually destroy your energy. All right, now there's a company called Viome, viome.com. You can check them out. They actually have a stool test which you can take, and it assesses the current state of your current bacteria in your gut, and you can use that to figure out what foods are healthy for you and which foods are not healthy for you. All right, but just a quick tip in terms of what foods you should avoid, because universally across the board, these are the three foods which the science is unequivocally clear on are causing inflammation in your body, and inflammation in the brain is associated with depression. So these three foods that I'm going to talk about now are something you should avoid. All right, and these three foods are refined sugar, refined grains, and vegetable oils. All right, if you just remove these three foods from your diet, you will end up moving towards actually fueling your body with the stuff that it needs and helps your body function more optimally, rather than causes inflammation in your body and could be a major cause towards depression as well. All right, because inflammation is directly linked with depression. So if you are dealing with this right now on a serious note, then I highly recommend you dive deeper into studying the gut microbiome, which is a combination of all the bacteria that's living in your gut and your body, because that is a major determinant of your gut health. And your gut, as I said, produces more serotonin than your brain. All right, now the sixth strategy I have for you on how to overcome depression, and that is exercise. All right, now there's a professor at the Harvard psychiatry department. He's an associate clinical director, or I forgot his name, I think it's John Rady, and he says that a bout of exercise is like taking a little bit of Ritalin and a little bit of Prozac. All right, in terms of how it boosts your mood. And then there's an expert in the field of positive psychology. His name is Tal Ben-Shahar. He says that not exercising is like taking a depressant. All right, now an interesting study that they've run on this is that they brought in a bunch of subjects that were suffering from depression and divided them into three groups. In the first group, they just put them on a regular exercise program. The second group, they gave them Zoloft. In the third group, they gave them exercise program and Zoloft. And at the end of the study, what they found was that the subjects that had just the exercise program reported much better increases in terms of their depressive symptoms, much better improvements in terms of the depressive symptoms than the other two groups. All right, and what I found is, based on my own experience, the times when I've been feeling the lowest have been the times when I've been moving the least. All right, so having and developing and implementing an exercise program that you stick with, whatever it is, whether it's strength training, yoga, stretching, whatever, you have to begin implementing exercise into your daily life if this is something you're dealing with, and even if it's not, because it will help you stay away from experiencing these negative emotions. All right, so exercise is definitely something that is scientifically proven to overcome depression. All right, and finally, we have the seventh strategy to help you overcome depression, and that is meditation or a mindfulness practice. All right, so there's a lot of science on this, and what it comes down to at the end of the day, there's a region of your brain called the medial prefrontal cortex. All right, and now that's the region of your brain which is often cited as the me center. So anytime we're engaging in thoughts about the future or ruminating about the past, that's what lights up the me center, or the medial prefrontal cortex in your brain. Right, that's what lights it up. And then there's another part of your brain known as the amygdala. Right, this is the fear center of your brain, and that's what actually initiates the cascade of stress hormones in your body. And the medial prefrontal cortex interacts with the amygdala to actually, they interact with each other and cause the symptoms of depression. All right, now it's scientifically proven that when you meditate, it actually loosens the connection between these two parts of the brain so that you are less reactive to the stimulus that leads to stress. All right, so meditation is a scientifically proven way to decrease the symptoms of depression and increase the parts in your brain which are actually wired to make you feel more better and positive emotions in your life. Now, if you are troubled in terms of figuring out how to actually get started with meditation, I'd recommend you download the app on the app store called Oak, O-A-K. It's completely free. Start with 5 minutes a day and notice how it actually helps you increase your ability to control your thoughts and identify less with your emotions and enter your grounded and powerful essence that you were meant to express. All right, so that's just a quick look at my 7 strategies on how to overcome depression, and getting deeper into them. Obviously, understanding them on intellectual level is one thing, but moving from theory to practice is where rubber meets the road, and that is where you will actually see results. All right, remember that watching this video might help in terms of getting some positive reinforcement in your life, but until you actually begin to implement the practices that I've talked about, you will not actually begin to make progress towards your ideal. Right now, everyone deals with depression, everyone deals with the highs and the lows. The point is that we catch ourselves and systematically make the lows higher as well as the highs higher, and just make sure that we're moving in the top right direction in that graph. All right, because the lows won't go away, but we can systematically make them higher. All right, so if you learned something new from this video, make sure you click the subscribe button, because I release new content just like this every single week. And if you're a man who's struggling with depression, with a lack of motivation, with a lack of energy, with a lack of drive, then make sure to check out my free masterclass on how to naturally triple your testosterone levels, because testosterone is actually a hormone directly correlated with depression in men. And going through my masterclass will tell you exactly what you need to do in order to master this area of your life. And finally, leave a comment below and let me know about the #1 habit that if you stop doing would help you experience more positive emotions in your life. All right, because many times it's not what we need to do, but what we need to stop doing in order to improve the quality of our lives. With all that being said, this has been Mo Salim. I hope that this video has provided you with some actionable and valuable content, and I'll see you soon.